What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man, I'm going to talk about Andre Ward and Deontay Wilder. I just checked out a video because I had seen people making comments about Barbershop Conversations interview with Andre Ward. So I'm going to make some comments on it because I think that Andre Ward is an interesting guy, man. Andre Ward is one of my favorite fighters. Andre Ward has been wrong. I've disagreed with Andre Ward 2 times that I can keep track of in the many years that I've been paying attention to this cat as a boxer. He and Fred from Barbershop Conversations go back and forth in about a 17-minute interview. And I've seen what people, some members of the LDBC put up. I think I heard the side conversations about the impression of Andre Ward. And I'm going to say, man, I vehemently disagree with the impressions that I've got off of the interview and off of Andre Ward's conversation with Fred. And I'm going to tell you, I think that people have really given Andre Ward the short end of the stick in this conversation right now. And some people are not going to like what I got to say, but I'm going to say it because I think that it is very, very unfair. And just like I would point out if Keith Idec was unfair to Gervonta Davis, or Max Kellerman's unfair to Deontay. Max Kellerman's unfair to Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Floyd Mayweather's legacy as a comparison to Manny Pacquiao. I'm gonna say the same thing, man, about cats who I consider to be friends being unfair to to Andre Ward because of the things that Andre Ward said. Now, before I do that, I want to welcome you back to the channel. If you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. I hope you come back after this interview and after this video, and I don't piss you off too much. Also, if you're not subscribed, I hope you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we release more videos and we do our live stream. And I hope that you would join our Patreon page. A good amount of this video is going to be similar to the content on Patreon, so I'd hope you join me there. All right, so let me first say the 2 things that I've disagreed with Andre Ward with. After Deontay Wilder got a draw against Tyson Fury, Andre Ward, I think he tweeted, he said something about the fact that he didn't think that Deontay Wilder was going to want to get that, was going to want to run that back, and that, Tyson, he'll fight somebody else and Tyson Fury can seek Anthony Joshua, right? When I saw the tweet, I don't go to Twitter, I don't go to Instagram, so people got to tell me about these things when these things happen. But when I saw it, I was like, man, why would you say that? That was my first reaction. I was like, man, I thought it sounded foul. And I did not like it. I didn't agree with it. I didn't think it was something he should have said. Okay? That's the first thing. The second thing, he said something in the interview where Fred was talking about how, we, and he said something about, hey man, I'm black and white. So, I'm riding with everybody. I did not grow up like Andre Ward grew up. I also don't agree. I didn't appreciate that he said that, but for my own reasons, right? So I can look at those 2 things that he said. I can have issues with both of them. And I do. I have issues with both of them. At the same time, I fully support this dude because the rest of what he said was absolutely correct. What he said, look, if you were going to ride with me and you thought that I had all this good character and, I was going through all these things during my career, why the first time that people hear something that they don't agree with, why would they turn around and assume the worst? I would have completed his sentence like, it's almost like you were waiting on the worst. The first opportunity there is to criticize this cat about something he said that didn't sit right, you run him down about it, right? And I'm telling you what I heard about what people called Andre Ward. And I thought to myself, I did a video about it. And I said, look, man, if this cat said that, he texted, if he turns around and comes back and says, look, man, this is what I meant by it, then I'm cool with it. He said he meant that it was a bad fighting style. After I did that video, he said he thought it was a bad fighting style. That's what he said in the interview with Fred. And I think that's a reasonable thing. Look, man, I didn't mean it like I thought the guy was scared. I just said that I thought that it was a bad matchup. This is a big 6'9", elusive fighter. Why would he want to go through that again, right? However he phrased it. But even if that is how he meant it, that he thought that Deontay Wilder wasn't going to come back, okay, that man's got a right to his opinion. That man has got a right to his opinion. If he thinks that he thought that Deontay Wilder was not going to take that fight, and that is his opinion, he has the right to that opinion. Same thing about my thoughts about him saying he's black and he's white. I think that's utterly stupid. Okay? I think that's stupid. Because he's not a European American. He's not. His daddy was, but he's not. And if he goes to any store, he walks around malls, nobody that looks at Andre Ward is going to think that he's from Switzerland. They not going to know to what his daddy was or what his mama was. It don't matter. He's not that. And he is a black man. That's how I see it. But again, that's how I see it. I was not raised with his father. I did not go through what he went through. I don't live his life. But the question about Andre Ward is this. What has he done in his life? You listen to how he speaks. You look at what his family did. Who did he choose to marry? Who are his children? He's not somebody that ran off and married Miss Becky. He married a dark chocolate, beautiful woman. Has been married to her his entire professional career. He's got several beautiful kids who are young black kids who he's taken care of. I've seen him do videos with cousins who are members of the church that he goes to. All of that type of stuff. And Andre Ward has never done anything but represent black people in a positive light. Much more so than many of the people that would say they're black in a minute. But regardless, I am not him. That he has the right to think what he thinks about the world. He has the right to look and have his own worldview. And just because I'm not going to run that man down just because he thinks differently about something than I do. That's what people do to members of the LDBC every day. Run you down, dog you out, talk about you every kind of bad way just because they have a different view about a boxer than we do. And I'm not going to do the same thing to Andre Ward. Andre Ward has the right to see the world the way he sees the world. But most importantly, look at how long he stopped and talked to Fred. That was a 17-minute interview that he was engaged in, that he was prepared for. He had obviously seen and heard the videos about him. He heard what people said about him, and he cared enough about the people that had that viewpoint to stop in his tracks, hold up a whole bunch of other people's time and schedules to address the problem in a very informed way. He didn't take the press I didn't see the Tim Bradley interview. I'm going to look at that later. I don't as much care about Tim Bradley. But I'm telling you, man, I think that one thing that should not happen to cats, there is within the the system that we talk about in the us and them type of scenario, there's an us and them that goes on within the black community as well. And I see it, and I see it so often. Just because this cat does not look like Deontay Wilder does not mean he's any less part of the community and should have any less consideration given to him when he says something that may be right, may be wrong, that you agree with or you don't agree with. Andre Ward is an absolute, in my opinion, one of my favorite fighters ever. He's one of my favorite people outside of the ring, and I don't agree with everything that he says. And as he shares his opinion, I suspect that I'm going to agree with it less and less. Because I'm an opinionated person and I have strong opinions of my own. I just had a great debate about the lineal championship and what the rules associated with passing the lineal title is with Best Fight the Best Boxing. Subscribe to Best Fight the Best Boxing. We see it two different ways, but I can respect his viewpoint. I hope that he respects mine, and we can move forward with mutual respect for one another. Andre Ward has given members of the LDBC, members of people who are black people who support black fighters, many great moments in the ring. He has given us everything we asked for in the ring. He took the tough fights. He took the rematch on the tough fights. He won the fights. He's never buffooned. He's never tap danced. None of that stuff. He's not running around taking craps at McDonald's, taking craps in Wendy's and throwing a bunch of money at strippers and just showing you the stereotypical foolishness that other people, portray about our community. But I am taken back about just how the guy can say one thing and all of a sudden it's, not for everybody, but there is a gut reaction to throw this man up underneath the bus. And I for one, I'm not down with it, man. I'm not down with it. This young man, because that's who Andre Ward is to me. This young man has always represented himself in a very mature, responsible way. This cat has never gotten in any trouble. He's done exactly what we said we wanted to see in in boxers, right? What he said to Fred was absolutely correct. He was like, look, man, he has given us something. He's given us the opportunity to talk about the fights that he's had. He's given us an opportunity to show the desperate treatment that he received from other people. Now, if he doesn't say it outright every time he grabs a mic, like he said, hey, man, I don't need him to tell me that. I know what's going on. He's a player in the game. I knew the game was the game way before he ever entered the game. And he himself will mature. But jumping on him and trying to throw him up underneath the bus because he thinks Deontay Wilder didn't want to fight with Tyson Fury, or trying to throw him under the bus because he might be a little confused. In my opinion, he's confused about what his racial identity is. Hey, he grew up with his father. His father took care of him. His father fed him. His father clothed him. His father gave him access to boxing, gave him access to a coach, did a lot of really good things for him. And I do believe he's got a brother. So if he wants to pay honor and tribute to his father in that regard, who am I to tell him that he's wrong for doing that? I can just say, look, man, I don't know your parents, but I just hope you don't get confused and think that anybody thinks that you're a European American. They don't. And you're not, right? But hey, man, he's got to live his life. He's got to see the things. But the simple fact that this cat would take his time, speak that long, be that well prepared to discuss the situation, he obviously thought of it. Hey, man, hats off to him, and I appreciate him for taking his time to do it. And hey, man, and look, if somebody wanted to debate me about Andre Ward, I don't debate a lot on my channel. I almost refuse to do it. Hey, man, I'm looking for smoke on that one. Because we as a community, we got to understand, man, there's divide and conquer in our own community. And there's a lot of people that are trying to convince people that have a little less melanin in their skin that somehow they're they're a lesser member, or they believe that they're always looking for or don't really care about other people who just happen to have a little more melanin in their skin. Man, we're all black people. And to me, it gets old. And I see this happen on a regular basis. As soon as somebody is light-skinned or somebody's curly head, somebody's got, or they say something stupid, they're automatically predetermined by some people, not all people. Like they're just what do they call them? A house in the field, house in and the field in. But even within, like I tell you, just to show you how much I like to argue with people, I always had an issue with when Malcolm X said that. Man, there's a whole bunch, trust me, there's a whole bunch of them black folk living up in that house that wanted it to burn down. There's a whole bunch of them in that house that probably made that master sick. You're like, what's wrong? We sick? No, no. And the lady that put that shit in his food said, no, he's sick. No, it's not living in a house full of, just historically speaking, put yourself in the mindset of a woman growing up in a household like that. They never got to go sing songs in the field. They never got to do some of the things that other people took for granted. That's a big psychological burden there. Even with Andre Ward and seeing what his skin looks like and seeing what his father's skin's like, you don't know, I mean, what kind of psychological game that can play on a kid. And they might not deal with it very well. But that doesn't mean just off the cuff that they're all of a sudden always just some Uncle Thus, that they're automatically an Uncle Ruckus. Anyway, it is what it is, man. I'm just putting that out there in defense of Andre Ward. I think that he's getting the raw deal. And like I said, anybody willing to debate me on that, I'm more than happy. I'll give you my channel. And ain't no way Cat's going to win that argument. This dude is a good representation of what black family's about. Even if he says, well, you know, my dad's white, I'm for all people, whatever. He chose to take care of his wife. That's who he chose to put in his house. He has those children, and those are the children that he's taking care of. How many black men that have no racial identity issues aren't taking care of their kids, aren't choosing to marry their black childhood sweetheart, and wouldn't give black channels the time of day, let alone sit down there for 17 minutes when they're on their way to explain what their point of view is. So anyway, that's me on that. And, you know, you guys can take it or leave it. But it is what it is with me. Peace.